This video covers pages 110, 111, and 112. There are 3 exercises, 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3. They're all very similar, so I'm going to combine them all into this video. The top of page 110, they talk about tone production. You can read about that and have all kinds of fun. It just takes practice. And in my mind, if you'll just keep a loose wrist, you don't have to worry so much about what they call banging, or it's just making a lot of ugly sounds that play real loud, and it kind of depends on the piano too. But you just keep a loose wrist, and that'll help to keep you relaxed, sort of. But on these exercises, we're talking about dynamic control, controlling louds and softs on the piano. Now, there's 2 basic ways of controlling louds and soft on a piano. Sometimes you use one method. Most of the time use the other. I'll explain them both. I'm talking an acoustic piano. I don't know about electronics. I haven't tried it out. I'll have to experiment with it. One way of doing it is the slower the key goes down, the softer the note. In fact, you can push the key down so slowly the note won't sound at all, because it won't trigger the hammer to hit the string. So if you push a note down, any note, just a normal speed, whatever that is, you'll get a normal loud and soft, whatever that is, depending on your mood. But if I slow down that descent, it automatically gets softer, very softer. And that's one way of controlling them. If you have time when you're playing, simply push the keys down slowly and it will be soft. Takes practice to control that speed, though. It's not that easy to do. The other side of the coin, if you want loud, you go down to quick. Part of that going down quick leads to the other way of controlling louds and softs, and that is, how hard do you push it down? You know, how much strength do you use? I don't use a lot of strength anymore because I use a technique called weight distribution. So I use weight. I use the weight of my hands, my shoulders, my back if I have to get it down. So I get it down. I can get a nice loud sound if I want without using a lot of muscle. I just use a lot of weight, and it goes down very fast to get loud. Then you have a range in between the two. And that's what these exercises are for. And exercise 8.1, and it helps if you'll do these one hand at a time so you can focus on that hand, because the different hands will feel different, and then do them together. But what we're after here at the beginning is you're going to play lightly. Don't use a lot of weight going down. Your hand is light, you feel light, and then you'll get a little heavier, and the whole note in the middle measure there, you're heavy, which means you're going to be loud. And then you go back down to not quite so heavy and not quite so heavy, and then finally last measure you're light. You practice that until you get the hang of it. Now on exercise 8.2, we're using basically the same chords and different arrangements slightly, but they're giving you the dynamics. So the first measure on the first line, there's 2 lines on this one, okay, it's soft. You have a choice of how you want to do this. You want to go down slowly, doesn't hurt to learn both ways, or go down light, don't use a lot of weight. You still collapse your wrists, never keep the wrists straight. Always collapse them at least a little bit. And it takes practice, because here we're playing 6 notes at a time. You may have to do this one hand at a time. But you got to get all the notes down at the same time. And if you listen carefully, even when the professionals are playing chords, they don't always get them all down at the same time. It takes practice to do this. Don't just, oh, I can do that and go on. Work on this. Now, you're doing the scales. You work on this kind of thing as you're doing the scales. So in the C major scale, you play it lightly. Play the whole scale, just as soft as you can possibly play it. Just hardly hear it at all. And then play it loud. Now you play it loud, collapse the wrist with each one. It's like you're accenting every note, really loud. And then you experiment, go from soft to loud and loud to soft and all the variations in between, so you can control these dynamics. takes practice to do that in each hand, and then the hands together, and oh, have a party and whatever. Back to exercise 8.2. The first one's soft. Next one's loud, so you use a lot of weight, Next one's soft. Next one's sort of soft, means a little louder. Then sort of loud, and then loud again. Loud, soft, loud, sort of loud, sort of soft, soft. Isn't this fun? Second line is the same thing except slightly different dynamics. Now you're very soft. This is even softer than soft. This is how soft can you get. Don't use the soft pedal. No cheating here. You do it only with the hands and the weight. Or if you can, just go down slowly. Then soft was just a hair louder. It's still soft. Next measure, a little bit soft, a little bit loud, and then loud. And then really loud. Now when you get to doing really loud or louder, because there's louder than really loud, you can get really, really, really loud and it's super duper loud, whatever it is. You have to be careful because this is where the banging comes in and you'll get a harsh tone. It's kind of hard to avoid it, but again, it's important. If you just collapse your wrist as you're doing this, then it's not quite so bad. Also, a technique that people will use is on the really loud ones, rather than just going down, they'll go in toward the fall board. So it's type thing rather than to here. Now some people actually come out. I can't do that. I have to go in when I do that. And that takes practice too. But then you got that FF, that fortissimo, very loud. Got two of those. And then loud. And then medium loud and sort of loud. Then medium soft, sort of soft. Then soft. And then very soft. It's all subjective. You'll feel soft one way one day, and you'll feel soft a different way another day. And there'll be different levels. So this might be soft in one day, and this might be soft in another day. They're not going to be the same, and the situation and everything changes. So I can't say this is soft, because who knows, it changes. It's up to you, it's up to the instrument, it's up to the situation, the room you're in, and all that junk. So what's important is that you control it. You be able to do it when you need to do it. And in order to do that, you have to practice that. And scales are great for this. You can do all of these dynamic levels in the scales. You can practice going louder and softer, and mix it up any way you want with scales. And the arpeggios, if I ever get them uploaded, those are great too. So that would be exercise 8.2. Now, on exercise 8.3, the notes, as near as I can tell, are the same as the second line of exercise 8.2. The difference is the indication for dynamics. Rather than giving you each chord dynamic, now they just gave you the hairpins. Those sideways arrows means the same thing. So in exercise 8.3, in the first line, the first chord is soft. Second chord, stay soft here because that's where the hairpin starts. Don't start getting loud at the beginning of the hairpin. You start getting louder after the hairpin starts. So that second chord is still soft. And then next measure, now you're sort of soft. It's probably loud, but then really loud. And then in the next measure, you're loud. Stay loud because the hairpin is just starting there. So don't start getting soft when the hairpin starts. You start getting soft after the hairpin's going. So the second chord, and then the next line you're sort of loud, and then a little softer, and then soft, and then very soft. And you have to practice this over and over and over. Just kind of listen to it. You feel it. How much weight are you putting into the keys, or how fast are you pushing them down? Don't get tense, because that just, ugh. In the second line, the notes are the same, it's just different dynamics. So you have fun practicing. These are really important to control. Now, I don't know how well the dynamics are coming across in the video because the electronics I'm using tend to want to level everything out. And when I tried putting the electronics on manual, so they didn't do that, then it really messed everything up. The piano came out so loud you couldn't stand it and you couldn't hear me talk. Well, that's no good because you got to hear me talk. It's important if, you know, it's just got to do it. So I had to go back to the automatic thing, and then we're back to the leveling thing, and that didn't work. But hopefully you understand the gist of what I'm saying here is practice these dynamics. They're important.